Welcome back to By George from Page to Stage, and today we're joined by Maria. Hi. But you may have noticed that we're also outside for the first time in a little while, and we just happened to be in Compo's over in Holmfirth, finally getting that fish and chips. So are we digging in? What are we doing?
Well,
guys?
I did promise you this about 6 months ago, so I think we should, don't you?
Yeah, I reckon so.
I think you've waited long enough.
Also, big thing to point out, it's Wibbits.
It is Wibbits, of course it
Not
is.
that you can really see mine from here, probably.
Is that all right for you,
It's
Dov?
perfect,
size of
yes,
it.
thank you.
Amazing.
Wow.
So thank you, Compo, for allowing us to do this. That's
Yes,
marvellous.
Cheers. Oh, yeah, drinks
Cheers
as well.
to Compos.
Oh yeah, shall we open? Wow. Chin chin all. Here's to
Cheers.
a fabulous show week.
Oh, thank you.
Cheers.
Probably
sir.
point out that we are about
Cheers.
1 week away from the show launching. In fact, this is Monday, the week before show week.
It is.
So,
It's not scary at all.
It's not scary. We had a rehearsal yesterday, which lasted for 4 hours, and I mean, you were there. You signed, didn't you?
I did. I
and then
did
got cramp in
actually.
your hands, right?
I didn't get cramp in my hands. I must admit they are a little today.
Oh well, if you're not able to eat your chips, that's
Get up.
fine. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did get to sign yesterday, which was really, really good, and thank you to everybody for letting me do that, because I'm not really going to get a chance to do all the songs and all the dialogue to the cast timing until I actually do it on the Thursday. So, yeah, it was really good. It was really helpful, and now I know what I need to work on. So, yeah, and it was an amazing rehearsal.
It really
oh my
went well,
God,
didn't it?
it was so good. Yeah, there's bits to work on, of course there is. You know,
Oh yeah, we'd have been upset if there wasn't. If it
I
was.
think so, yeah,
if it
yeah,
was
yeah.
ready too early, that would have been terrible.
yeah,
No.
it was.
It looks to be just at the right stage to be where we are with a week to go.
Yeah.
You know,
definitely.
the lines are in, the moves are in, the orchestration was solid. We had this incredible pianist. I mean, he was stunning,
wow.
wasn't he? He's going to be
Amazing.
the piano player for the show.
Oh, okay.
And he came in to play for the rehearsal, and it was.
Is it the first time you'd both met him?
Absolutely.
Oh,
I
wow.
think it's the first time he's.
So
well,
Kira's sorted out.
yeah, Kira sorted him out, and
I
he
think-
was.
I think it was the first time he'd seen the music.
Yeah, it was, and he was playing
He
it
was
just
brilliant,
superb.
absolutely fantastic.
Emoting and going with it. He was laughing at the rehearsal as well,
Yeah.
so that was
That's
nice
a good
to see.
time.
Oh
Really
yeah.
good time.
Yeah,
We had an awful lot of people around, so we had all the props people were there to make sure they could coordinate what was happening off
Yeah.
stage with what's going on. We had the sound. We had John on sound. We had James, production designer. He's going to be. He's been a really good presence all the way through, hasn't he? Really,
absolutely
James.
amazing.
We had John, who did the set and is
Yeah.
making sure that everything works in terms of the set. Neil was there, of course. Maria was there. We had Claire there, and Lorraine was there as well. It's just amazing to see so many people and such support and love for the project as well. It's great.
And people still laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just about to say, I love the fact that, like, so for those of you watching at home, obviously I've not been to any rehearsals now.
You're not
as
allowed.
We said, as
You're
we said
barred.
on the drive over, I'm barred because it'll spoil it. But yeah, I think that the important thing for me was that the last big rehearsal I went to was your Act 1 run through. And everyone's still laughing, and even on the drive over, we mentioned, didn't we, that the fact that you've got people like Mel who are still managing to get really big laughs out of everybody, just for little subtle things, like even a question that's nothing to do with the actual show. It's just the
So
kind of
funny.
it's like,
Of course.
Neil, tell us when to jiggle, and she was Barbara, and it was like, oh God, that's just so funny. It was just glorious, and it's lovely watching everybody inhabiting these characters now, because you genuinely can't imagine anybody else playing.
No.
that
Certainly
character.
those roles.
Yeah.
Just the little in-between roles.
So good.
To be fair, Sam is owning these rehearsals at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
His delivery of some of the lines is so inherently comedic.
Yeah,
He's so good.
Definitely.
To the point that one of my favourite lines now is "See your dad." That's all we needed on the page, and Sam is getting a really good comic stuff out of that.
He delivers it so
something that
well.
isn't there.
his timing's brilliant.
I need to understand how "see your dad" becomes such a funny line.
You'll
like,
see.
Can't tell you, Matt.
No, not allowed.
I'm not allowed.
So in terms of where we are with the timeline at the moment, what we have to do is next Sunday. We've got 2 rehearsals from now till then. Next Sunday we are going into the theatre properly, and we sort of sit in residence for a week. The stage will be put up in the morning. We'll be having the band call in the foyer, we think, in the morning, and then moving all that to the stage in the afternoon. In the meantime, we're going to be having a rehearsal downstairs in the Cellar Theatre, and then on the Monday, we've got a tech rehearsal. Now, tech is very important in this show. There's no changing of scenery at all. But what we need to make sure is that all the sound effects are there, and that everything technically is going to work with stunts and stunts and the lighting. Of course, you don't know about the stunts yet, do you? But there are stunts involved.
Are you jumping for a burning ring of fire?
I'm not telling you.
Okay.
You're not allowed to know these things. But how dare you instigate Johnny Cash into the proceedings? Anyway, so that's happening, and then it'll be Tuesday when we'll have a proper dress rehearsal, and that'll be filmed. The videographers are now in place, so we know how that's going to happen. And then after that, it's premiere time.
It's showtime, yeah.
Wow.
As we're filming, it's 9 days off.
That is crazy, isn't it? I just can't believe that 6 months ago we started a podcast talking about fish and chips, and it's taken you 6 months to get me fish and chips.
And are they disappointing?
No, not at all.
not.
It was worth the wait.
No, I was only kidding there. What I meant was it's 6 months of doing a podcast talking about from page to stage of this show, the start all the way to the finish, and it kind of felt like it was just this, it's in the distance, we'll get there.
Yeah.
And then this past month has just really caught up with us to the point where, as you say, like the tickets are pretty much sold, the fish and chip shop van's going to be there, and now it's those finishing touches that we just came from the LBT actually.
We did.
So let's talk about that. What did we see?
Spontaneous visit.
Yeah.
I'd say what did we see, but I was too busy dropping something off to Ellie. So what did you two see at the LBT?
We saw James outside and we said, "Hello, James," and he immediately said, "Oh, your chairs have come." And we thought, "What? We didn't order any chairs." But James has procured some bar stools. They've been difficult for him to get. He's been going around all the pubs and clubs and trying to find things that are second-hand and worn. But one issue he had was that he couldn't find matching sets of anything. They're all bits and bobs. So what he's had to do is order new of these of the stools, the high stools, George's stool, and so they came in today, didn't they?
Amazing.
And they look tremendous.
Wow.
He's been able to tell them exactly what the top should look like.
They look perfect.
So they've been covered in style with the pub. It's just going to look real.
And George's throne looks.
Oh,
perfect.
quite
Just
commanding.
Well, George
yeah,
has
slightly different bar stool.
Yeah, George has his because
Beautifully said.
George has his spot at the bar, which is his spot at the bar. You know, like you get in some pubs that's always where
Like when he's
so-and-so
not there, his
fits.
shadow still is.
Right.
And so George has that place in the pub, and so we decided that it was suggested that he should have one of the sort of bar stools, you know, with the back and the arms on it. It's very throne-like that he sort of
Quite
sits
regal.
and pontificates at the end of the bar.
Puts bets on the horses.
Complains about the council. It's brilliant, and it works so well, and it just all comes together, and it looks like such a coherent thing, and style and everything. And I don't know how you feel about this, but I know I'm massively overwhelmed by how wonderful the set looks. I mean, I was never in any doubt it was going to look good.
No, but I didn't think it'd look that good.
Wow, it's way above expectation, and the guys have worked so hard, and so they put so much detail into it. I think that's the thing for me is, yes, they've built, you know, we had that plan at the beginning, didn't we? You built that 3D model from a little sketch we'd done, and that's now been translated into what you're going to see on stage, and that's amazing. But then there's this whole other layer that all these wonderfully skilled and talented, creative people have brought to it, and they've gone, "You do know we can do this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do," and it's like, what? Wow! And it's just brought it to life in a way that is above and beyond what we were expecting.
I think it's like Becky said when we interviewed Becky and Liv, you know, the fact
Yes.
that the LBT, I mean, you said this on the drive over as well, didn't you, Maria? The fact that the LBT isn't a production house, it's an in-house team who support productions that come to them with, you know, with their own set and everything, and it turns up and then they just have to react and adapt and figure out on the fly. With this, they've really had that opportunity to flex a little bit, and also probably like they'll have probably made loads of connections with people throughout their time in the industry, but never really been able to kind of like lean in on them.
No.
And now, you know, sorting out chairs and like James said when we did the episode with him, you know, all those details of there isn't a set guide to this is how tall to build a fish and chip shop counter, or this is how to make a bar ready for a stage production that doesn't look like a brand new bar, but it doesn't look like it's too worn in. It just looks like it's exactly the right kind of bar for that setting. And I think it's great to see that they've had that enthusiasm. So as a result, you've got the perfect cast, the perfect crew, and this show is like looking after itself, hopefully.
I think we have said it, that if you get the casting right at the beginning, it's the same with every single industry.
Yeah.
If you get the casting and the personnel in place at the right point, then the thing does carry its own momentum. It takes care of itself because the people actually care about what they're doing. And we really have. Could you have pictured a better team to have had anywhere?
No.
You know? Kira's, taken loving control of that music, and Neil, the driving force behind the whole thing, is just powered his way through.
I mean, you watch what Neil's done with scenes, and obviously, you know, when you're writing a scene, when you're developing a scene, when you're looking at it in detail and envisaging how it's going to be played out.
Yes.
You obviously you know what you want it to achieve. You know what you want it to get to. You when you're putting the lines on the page, you know why you've written that little bit. You know how that connects with all the other sections and so on.
Yeah.
But then obviously you give that to someone else. They're then going to imprint their ideas onto it, and so on. And you know I know when I found out Neil was going to be directing it, and it was like, oh wow, this is a safe pair of hands. You know, that's your immediate reaction is, this is somebody who's got so much experience, really knows what he's doing. Safe pair of hands, fantastic, really pleased. But then you go into rehearsal and you see what he's actually doing with it, and you're like, what? Blown away. I mean, you know, I've got high expectations, but he's surpassed every single one of them. I mean, seriously, you look at what he's achieved in bringing out the comedy.
Yeah.
He's created comedic moments that I think we've not even seen, which is just brilliant.
But we've kind of relied on that happening, haven't we?
Yeah.
Because inevitably a director is going to bring his own comedy to it.
Definitely. And the choreography he's created for the numbers is perfect.
He's not happy with it because he doesn't feel it flexes his, he said from the start, he's not a choreographer. But honestly,
also at the
try and find something better.
It's exactly right. It's exactly right for the piece, because this piece doesn't require big choreographed dance numbers. It's not that kind of.
We've never intended it for that.
No. It's got to be.
It would feel out of character with the
very
rest
much
of
so.
the play. And at the end of the day, the core values of the play is to celebrate family values and strong northern women.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need like. And a 1, 2, 3, kick 2, 3.
No.
Absolutely not.
That would look so wrong.
It's not a chorus line.
No.
Like that, is it? It needs to just be, like movement to song that fits and either pushes the plot along or it adds to the comedy of the scene.
That's right.
And he's achieved both, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's even more so. It's held true to that credo that we had right from the beginning, that this isn't actually a musical. It's a play with songs.
Yeah.
And comedy songs have to be like that. You can't have a massive choreographed number around a Victoria Wood comedy song.
No.
It just has to be simple, because otherwise you lose the message of the song. You lose the lyrics of the song.
Yeah.
And so it has to be. But what I didn't realise is how essential it is, and Neil's brought this up, is to accentuate the comedy within the dance. So the lines are referenced, and he was always very pointed of saying, no, this is where the gag is, therefore do this to help the audience out, and that'll really help the gag. And it's worked every time.
And help Maria
to help
sign
me massively.
it.
Yeah. I mean, some of the things that are, especially in Yorkshire born and bred, some of the movements they've got in that have massively helped me, because I think we mentioned when we talked about the signing on the podcast right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Some of these songs are, how can I put this? Impossible to translate. And I mean, I knew right back at the beginning when we spoke that it was going to be a challenge it's been a challenge and a half. I mean, I'm not just saying that, but you know, I've looked at some of these lyrics and go, whoa, this really doesn't work in sign language, my God, what am I going to do? And actually, when I've seen the number being choreographed and being set, and this is why I've gone to so many rehearsals, because you've kind of, I've seen the process, and that's really helped me massive, sparked loads of ideas, going, right, okay, so they're doing this, I can actually incorporate a little bit of what they're doing into what I'm doing, because it works really, really well.
Yeah.
And particularly for a number like Pump It Out, where there's, which I think what he's done with Pump It Out is just fantastic.
It is.
And oh my God, what the company achieving that, I'm in awe of them every single time they do it. It's incredible. But there's a lot of reference to dance moves.
Yes.
Which there isn't a translation for.
No.
Because you would, if you were actually talking to somebody in sign language about it, you would demonstrate what that move actually is.
Yeah.
But obviously, because there's so many of them listed, you can't do that, because I don't know what half of them are. Neither does Richard, to be fair. But also, it's too quick. You couldn't get them across. So what I'm ending up doing is I'm actually replicating some of the moves that has been put in the choreography, and not many, just a couple. But they just tie in nicely. They give me something to do at that point, and you can see what I'm doing. Then it's reflected in what you're seeing on stage. So
I've loved watching you piece together the sign version. It's just wonderful. But I mean, beyond that, and looking at how the theatre has incorporated things, I think the thing that shocked us from today's set visit was actually seeing the set flat packed.
Yeah.
It wasn't it a great moment when James said, well, that's the set, and it was pressed against a wall in the corridor.
Yeah.
Because it just folds down to nothing. It's wonderful.
I'm sorry, but it's got stickers on it.
It's got stickers.
It's got stickers that say "By George." I'm like, oh my God, there are stickers that say "By George." It looked real, and it looked
official production. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say,
Amazing.
I was at the LBT on Friday night to watch the Queen tribute band.
Oh yeah.
And was adamant going down there. I was like, it's obviously going to be on the courtyard stage. It can't be the cellar. That's too small, and it can't be on the main stage, because that's where By George is.
I know. We've gone.
Get there, and there's a Queen tribute band, and I'm thinking, okay, where's the fish and chip shop and where's the bar?
Yeah.
And then asked Will Dash, where is it? And he's like, oh, we just put it underneath. I'm like, okay,
I know.
how have you done that? He's like, well, we just had to sort it out.
The
and
set-
I just thought, that's just brilliant, like
It's
forward
incredible.
planning.
Absolutely. The set just looks so solid, and to see it flat packed against a wall, it's amazing.
Crazy.
The magic they do is quite something.
Also a tight deadline.
Oh, very much so.
Oh yeah, they've got, because there's shows on this week, and
To be able to get that all flat packed, safely stored, and then put it back.
Brilliant team, absolutely brilliant team. And they were there, weren't they, this morning?
Working
Just
hard.
waiting for us.
Like 3 chairs.
Yeah, to get everything right. They're actually setting up for a show which is this week. Folks, do get along to LBT this week. There's a teen version of Chicago going on, and with some very, very good friends of ours. So do go and see that. Beyond that, I want to place a plug for something that you should be at tomorrow night. You've got the first rehearsal for School of Rock.
I have indeed, and my car decided to break down. So fingers crossed, I managed to get there, because I don't really want to miss the first rehearsal.
No.
I did want to go meet all the kids, not the Sunday we've just had, because they've just been auditioning for their next production.
Of course they have.
Which is Ghost, which our friends at Longwood are doing in Huddersfield. In November, so you should get tickets for that as well.
Yeah.
Basically, just buy tickets for lots of shows.
Yeah.
But I was meant to go see all the kids for their first rehearsal all together, but then I wasn't feeling too great, so I thought, do I really want to make kids ill right before they go back to school? Probably not.
Certainly do not.
So fingers crossed my car can be fixed and I'll be going to that. And if you want to come and see me in that, that's the 28th of November to the 2nd of December. School of Rock in Mosley, which is
Amazing.
in between Huddersfield and Manchester.
It is.
So,
It's a great show as well. What have been your favourite moments then from the past 6 months? What do you reckon?
6 months.
What an open question that was.
Cheers.
I was going to say podcast-wise
Huh?
or rehearsals wise or auditions wise, because
Oh, not
all
these
of
two
it.
silly buggers chatting bollocks.
Oh, I've loved the podcast. No, I've got to be honest. I've said this to you before.
You
I
have,
listen
yeah.
to them in the car, and I love listening to them. I've loved the interview ones you've done. You know, with the cast. You know, when you talk to Niobe and when you talk to Nikki, and
Yeah.
when you talk to Gareth, and you God, I can list everybody. You know, you talk to everybody, and they were really great. Sort of little insights into how people are feeling and what it
And
means
why they're
to
doing
them.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been great. I've loved that. I've loved the technical ones as well, like the one you do with James last week, and when you talked to Becky and Liv, that was brilliant. The auditions were very special.
Yeah.
That audition day will live with me a long time. I wasn't
Very emotional, wasn't it?
It was. The first person in was Sam.
Yes, yes, it was.
Obviously, when somebody comes in, you don't know what they're going to do. I'd never seen Sam before. I'd never met Sam before. You don't know they're going to get the part. You know, obviously, we saw so many people that day. You're incredibly open-minded as to who's going to get it.
Yeah.
And we'd already arranged, hadn't we, that we would read in the parts with the person, because unlike a lot of shows where people kind of know it and know what it's like, nobody knows this.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have made much sense for them to just
Yeah,
read
so
it.
it was much easier if it was Rich and I, because we knew what the driving force behind that particular scene was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I read in with Sam, because he was doing one of
Yes.
his audition pieces with
You were his
Pauline.
Pauline,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I read in Pauline, and that was great, and that was lovely, and I was all okay for that. And then I sat down and he started singing. I just went, because I just wasn't ready to hear someone else singing
Yeah.
the songs, and it was like I didn't brace myself for that moment. I didn't realise it was going to affect me quite so emotionally.
I'm still getting that feeling.
Are you?
Yeah. I tear up every time I hear Nikki and Gareth sing the Love Duet.
Oh,
Every time.
yeah.
It's never failed. And I don't know why. I think it's because they're acting
They're
it
so
so good. It's immeasurably rewarding to hear other people doing your stuff. For me, the highlights have definitely been the the times when I've got together with a guitarist, and I've got together with a bass player, a violinist, and a drummer. And they've taught me essentially what the hell to do, and that was it, the rewarding nature of that. And I'm not going to forget from this.
Yeah.
This is really something, and it's also something you can carry forward. I know if you ask that question to Nikki, you know, what's been her highlight of the whole thing, she'd never be able to answer. She doesn't want it to end.
No, too many.
There's far too many.
Several
and
apologies in that
Oh,
reply as well.
she just absolutely is.
I'm blown away by how invested everyone is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, the care that people have given to this,
Yeah.
and their time and their heart is just overwhelming, really, genuinely overwhelming. I think there's going to be another moment that's yet to happen, apart from opening night and all this, that and the other, and I know I'm sitting quite close to you, which is, you'll hear the sobbing, Matt, from several rows away. But
I'll
for
see if
me-
I can move closer to bring a box of tissues with me.
Just keep lobbing them over people at me. I think the thing for me, the moment I've looked forward to, oh wow, since the off really, it's band call.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I'm...
The first
Yeah.
moment that entire band plays something all together, I am going to be an absolute wreck.
Well,
I think.
At the rehearsal, the pianist sat and actually played the overture for the first time that we'd really heard it.
Yeah.
Just, well, really, really stunning. Because he was sight reading it. Didn't matter. He was. Someone else was playing what you'd written. An extraordinary moment. So
was
hopefully,
mad.
even in retrospect, you know, when we get past the show and we get to look back, it'll be nice to see what sticks with us for the whole thing.
Yeah. I think the things that I think the things we've already mentioned will always stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that, as I say, audition day, and I think what you know, Nikki's audition was stand out from that day because she just
I'll never forget that.
touched everybody so. Oh God, she was so moving. It was amazing. But I think, you know, that first read through at the theatre again was special because you saw the whole cast. Then these were the people that you were going to get to know and you were going to get to hear and so on. So I think they'll always stay. But I think show week there'll be many that we can't yet anticipate.
No, absolutely not.
Audience reaction, pro or con.
Yeah. Who knows?
You know, and all that kind of thing. I think there's going to be many moments that we are yet to experience that will be the ones that stay with us too.
I think so. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun. What's been your highlight? Come on, out with it.
I've been trying to think this entire time what my highlights were, whilst also paying
Eating these
attention
fish
and
and
listening and trying to concentrate on not spilling fish and chips all down.
But have you enjoyed it?
Oh my god, yeah. I think the thing for me that is like kind of quite special really is it's the most excited about a show I've been that I have not been in a show but feel like I'm still part of the show in some way. And I think obviously with Priscilla I was like sort of in the cast but also sort of in the crew, and it was kind of, that was a new experience, but you kind of, I don't know, you're not as involved as such, and I joined it late, whereas with this it's kind of, you came to me and said I want to do a podcast about my musical, don't know how it's going to work, don't know what it's going to look like, but I know I want to do one, would you come and do it with me? And I was like quite touched by that. I thought that was lovely, and I also felt like it was your way of saying don't bother auditioning, there's no parts
there's nothing
for you. Which he did say, to be fair. But yeah, I think you've kind of listed a few of them. I think every single time we've done a different interview with someone. And
Something's come up, hasn't it?
Yeah,
There's been enlightening.
And I actually spent Friday at work going back and listening to the podcast from the start. I think I got up to like episode 9, which shows you how long I was at work.
Yeah.
And how long I was sat at my desk working away. But yeah, every time we'd get to the next episode and the next interview, I'd think, oh no, that's my favourite highlight. Oh, that was my favourite highlight. Yeah. And I think one that really stuck out to me was interviewing Sam and Helen at the theatre.
Yes.
Yeah.
And learning a little bit more about, learning a little bit more about Helen and like, I've known her for 7 years now. But getting to chat to her in that way, obviously it was for the podcast, but to learn more about her and her approach to the character, and obviously she went for Pauline but didn't get it and got Lil, and like you say, that enthusiasm and that kind of desire to just be involved and just do the show.
Yeah.
Initially it started out because they wanted to help you and they wanted to be involved, but now it's evolved into, I want to be in this show because it's about Yorkshire and it matters and it's new and it's important to them. And I think everyone's having their own moment where this is, you've said it before, this has become their show.
Yeah.
They're taking ownership of their role and recognising how privileged they are to be able to originate a part in a brand new musical that not many people will get the opportunity to do that, especially at an amateur level.
I think Helen's a really, really good example as well of someone who is incredibly talented anyway, but who has come in, and you can't imagine anyone delivering Lil's lines better than she does. I mean, she genuinely, she's brought a different level of comedic timing and quality to Lil that's above and beyond what we wrote.
Yeah.
Her and Nikki just look right as a pair.
They're
As well.
perfect.
They do.
Yeah.
And
Perfect
Naomi is the
together.
contrast, the three of them together.
God, yeah.
Oh, it's just lovely.
They
But-
are the 3 degrees.
They are. The three.
But yeah, I think my favourite moment's yet to come. I think my favourite moment will be sat there in the audience and hearing the start of the overture and thinking, oh my god, this is actually happening.
Very fortunately, on that first night, you'll be surrounded by a room full of people because so many people have bought the tickets. It's great.
I think I'll be focused on the show, and then everybody else around me, their reaction will just be part of it. But I think Maria will be focused on everyone else's reaction just as much as the show. So we'll probably have 2 similar but very different experiences. And mine will probably be a lot more relaxed than yours.
I would imagine so.
But,
Well, internally, you'll be prepping, won't you?
Yeah.
Because you'll be thinking, right, well, I've
Yeah.
got to do this tomorrow.
I've got a real kind of like split personality going on that night because I want to enjoy the experience. I want to enjoy it being the first night. I want to enjoy, as you've just said, watching the audience and judging their reactions and going, gosh, I never expected them to laugh there. Why didn't they laugh at that point? Do you not know that's meant to be funny?
Something like that.
And all the rest of it. And then I'll go, oh damn, I've got to keep an eye on this because I'm doing it tomorrow. But I've kind of factored in extra prep for myself, mentally watching the dress rehearsal and things like that. So I'm giving myself opportunities. But that night, I'll definitely, because obviously no 2 audiences are the same, but you can judge pretty much where certain laughs are going to come. But that still affects the whole thing, so I need to see their reactions as well, because that's going to affect some of my timings. So not much, but a little bit. So I'll kind of have lots of different heads on that night and a big pile of tissues every time. I just know I'm going to be absolutely.
It's probably a good job she's not signing on opening night.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I couldn't cope with that. I really couldn't cope. I'm going to struggle second night. But
They'd be like, why is she crying so much?
Simon was in tears.
Yeah. Oh God, poor Signet.
Yeah.
No, I've got a bit of a vested. I'm looking forward to Friday night, partially because we've got so many friends and family that are going to be in the audience that night,
Yeah.
so that's going to be really lovely. But also, I can kind of relax then a bit. I get it. Sorry, mate.
No.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I can relax then a bit.
Such it is.
So it's really good.
It's been a hell of a journey. Just to let everyone know what's happening over the next few podcasts. We've got
I'm just
one
gonna
more
keep eating.
podcast. Yeah, you carry on.
I mean, so am I. While it's the outro.
We've got one more podcast, one regular podcast, which we're hoping to get up at the end of the premiere next week, and that'll be the very last one. And don't forget to get your tickets, because time is definitely running out and space is running out.
Yeah, there's not that many tickets left.
No,
so,
that's right.
so yeah, what do they need to do to get their tickets,
Well,
Rich?
as ever, Matt, as you well know, because I've told you 25 times, you've got to go to www.thelbt.org, and there you'll find the beautiful page for By George, and you can take a look at what tickets are left and get them and snap them up while you can, folks.
And don't forget that there will be a fish and chip shop van there, so if you want to turn up before the performance, probably about 6ish, that'll give you an hour and a half's time to get in the queue to get some fish and chips. That'll give you a really good experience of what it's like at the start of the play as well, or the start of the musical.
It is.
And obviously there'll be the bar too.
Then will. Also, don't forget that you can find these podcasts on YouTube. The whole gamut of the podcast, right from page to stage. We've got them all for you, all stacked up, and you can take a look at the back editions of our
indeed.
podcast.
Yeah.
And if you want to have some further reading, www.richsykes.com, and that'll tell you what's happening next, won't it?
Yeah. And lastly, if you still haven't decided whether or not you're coming, you can head to our Instagram, and we'll put it right here in front of these Ben Shaw bit of shandy cans, and you can scan that, and that'll take you to all the links that we just mentioned, from the YouTube to all of the streaming podcast sites, to Rich's website, and also you'll be able to look at some of the content of the behind the scenes, and there'll be some funny outtakes probably from this episode as well that'll end up there eventually, and we'll probably keep that going as well after the show's finished, so you can always go back and have a bit of nostalgia like I did on Friday. But yeah.
Well, I'm not going to get a chance in advance of thanking this chap for doing these podcasts, so I better do that now.
Nah,
I think I should,
it's
mate.
fine.
It's been an absolute joy. Thank you so much, bud.
You're very welcome.
Thanks,
for
Maria,
the
as
fish
well,
and
for
chips.
putting up with us.
Pleasure. Let's do the next one.
It's been great.
This, by the way, is your payment. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hope that's okay.
I'm quite cheap if
I'd have
anyone
had
wants me
curry
for another
sauce if I'd
podcast.
known.
Oh well, in that case.
There's still time.
But we're out of time for the podcast, folks. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for joining us. See you.
Awesome. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Hello, my name is Richard Sykes, and I wrote By George. The show is a very personal story. It's a local story, so it's all about my childhood in Yorkshire, growing up around Yorkshire women, strong women. It's also about family, so the strong family bonds that we had around here when I was a kid as well. This musical really elevates performers of a certain age that perhaps thought they were done with musical theatre and couldn't get the leads anymore. And these incredible performers from my prime period about 20 years ago are the ones that are really elevating the piece. They are sensational. Can't wait to see them perform, and rehearsals are an absolute joy.
My name's Novi Armitage, and I'm playing Marge in By George. She's the villain, which is really interesting to play. The reason she's important is that she learns that George has money of his own. and she's looking for husband number 6, and that would be a good fit. So she sets about to divide and conquer, which is one of her songs, to divide and conquer the leading lady, Nikki, playing Pauline, and George, and she wants to get in there and steal George off Pauline. So I haven't been on stage for 20 years, and I used to do lots of shows back in the day, and Woodhouse was one of the main societies that I played with. And then I went away to have kids and form a business. And now I'm back for this one, so really excited about the whole thing.
Musical theatre should be vibrant, it should be exciting, but it's so rare to find something that accentuates incredible female performances of a certain age and is local. I am absolutely thrilled that Woodhouse Musical Theatre Company, my company, are forming a bond with Lawrence Batley Theatre to make this happen. It's a real combination of incredible talents, and it's so nice to be a part of. I hope the audience laughs to start off with. It's a massive comedy musical. I also hope they come out finger clicking to some of the songs, because there's some very catchy numbers in there, and they're all brand new. It's amazing to see.